start by just saying your name and what you do?
Okay. I'm Marcus Boni. I'm the Vice President of Retail at Intelligentsia Coffee. I have a good history inside of the company. I've had a relationship with Intelli since 2001. Left for a while, worked for the SCAA, worked for Espresso Supply and Bonavita and other roasters. I started as a barista on their very first store, which is up on Broadway in Chicago. And really starting with the company, I had recently moved to Chicago with my now husband and just spent some great time there. Really fell in love with Intelligentsia, established a great relationship with our founders, Doug Zell, Emily Mange, and Jeff Watts. And kind of grew up from the company from that point. And that's when they approached me, and as the business is growing, they needed a business manager to help with accounting function, HR, really kind of pivoting them for some more growth. I took on the head of retail after Doug Zell and I had a few conversations about where they're going and how many stores they were looking to add in different markets that they were going into. So from there, business manager to I think about 9 months later going into their head of retail at that point. That was end of 2002, maybe early 2003. And so from that point, we had just opened up our second location in Chicago. Doug had then signed a location, our Millennium Park store, right after that, so that's location 3. And then in the middle of us building out the Millennium Park store, Doug had come across a great space in Los Angeles for our Silver Lake location too. So it was really quick. Let's position ourselves. Not a lot figured out, but we're going to go full bore into this because we realized that there's such good opportunity. That's when Kyle Glanville came on board and really helped kind of, between Kyle and myself, getting the Silver Lake location up and going. Kyle was instrumental in really kind of identifying what the new service model could be in that location too. So really taking that store to opening, and then I left for a bit. I went to work for the Specialty Coffee Association for 4 years and have recently been asked to come back, which is great, really to head up the retail channel again. Not only where we're at today with how the company has grown over that period of time, but also then where we position ourselves in the future. What do I see my path? So the conversation is geared towards baristas, and how can I see my path with where I am today? Maybe that entry point is via a barista role, or maybe that entry point is working in a production capacity in some type of roaster organization, or maybe it's in another business that isn't quite considered specialty, but how do they make that kind of grow with inside of where they are today? And really showing them like the important kind of points in my life, and hopefully being able to kind of give them a good sense of how they're able to establish a career and really commit to organizations and commit to development themselves in a larger, diverse perspective, not just always like this is my path as a barista. I go from barista to a trainer of sorts to wherever that might take you, showing them the multiple disciplines and opportunities that exist inside of this world of specialty coffee. It's what makes it unique. It really, when you look at these organizations that for the most part are deemed successful or is viewed as successful, what they know is that they know coffee, and they build upon that. We're going to start with this understanding of we know coffee well. In a lot of cases, I also think success comes from knowing we know what a great experience feels like for our customers, whether that's wholesale or retail. When they build upon that and they develop people and promote people from within that have that core foundation of great coffee, we're going to treat people nicely, and we're going to care about what we're doing, I think that's what builds the culture inside of your company. Well, you have to like working with people, first of all. When you look at it's all about the team. It really is, and it's all about execution. And so you have to make sure that at the root of what we're doing, we're serving people. We are wanting to take something that we can craft and create and bring that to folks that are interested in it, and meeting them with wherever they are. So when I look at really who's responsible for that, it comes down to quality execution, and it comes down to wanting to create an experience and to craft an experience that's exciting for customers to receive. So we want to meet them where they are today. And those companies that I feel that execute well understand that. They're not presenting something that isn't that couldn't be widely accepted by the larger kind of community that you serve. And I think when you start with identifying those individuals on your team that want to really care about customers and get to know customers, our stores, for example, they have a great opportunity where we see our customers more than they see their family in some cases, 5 days a week, 7 days a week, things like that. And so when we treat that with the special regard that it needs, and when my team identifies that and can really speak into that and create relationships that withstand that, I think it makes it special. Then once you have that relationship founded, they're willing to go so far with you in it, whether it's trying very new and interesting coffees, whether it's really pushing the boundaries on messaging on this is what we've paid for this coffee, based off of the quality and the value that's there, whether it's this long-term farming relationship that we've had and has really grown over this period of time based off of what the farmer is committing into it. And we have, in turn, paid more for this coffee and are asking you, customer, to pay more because it's so special and so quality, and we think you're going to realize that in the experience. Customers are willing to go so far with you on that. And but it all starts with the relationship that you have founded, and of course when you have the team together that realizes that, that's my role. I really view myself as someone that supports my team in that quest. The great thing is that you really start to see diverse experiences, whether that is curated for a specific type of brand experience that a coffee company may want you to have. You may also have some retail experiences that are created for the communities that they serve. So rather than bringing in a shop and putting it into, taking your brand and inserting it into a neighborhood, you really embrace the neighborhood that you're there to serve. You identify that this is a great space for us, and we think that this is a community that we can kind of be very respectful to who they are, their diversity within inside of that community too. When you start to come in and really see this, or have this expectation that I don't know what I'm going to walk into at this point, because all of these different types of specialty coffee companies are presenting something that is uniquely theirs. And whether it goes down those different paths or something totally unique, I think that's what's great about this La Marzocco residency program, is that Seattle has this awesome opportunity to experience something every month on a new level. And now, so they're training their customers to be open to that, and really kind of getting them open to the experience of, this wasn't what I had yesterday. Even things down to I'm not ordering my coffee at the same spot I was, yesterday, or I can't have the same drink that I had yesterday. That's a pretty unique experience, and so I think they're bringing it here and bringing something together that is what is represented in specialty coffee today: diversity, uniqueness, nothing quite the same, but delivered with great service too. I think you could break that down into a few different, noticeable things. I think with the focus on really kind of bringing out specific and nuanced flavors in a cup of coffee, how that comes about now has changed significantly. In the past, it may have been just larger batch sizes that, although batch coffee can be very, very delicious, you couldn't always dial into a certain tasting note or a certain profile in that coffee that you'd be looking for. Whereas today, we spend, in Intelligentsia stores specifically, we spend a great amount of time dialing in every morning, whether it's espresso or brewed coffee, to make sure that what we're experiencing is exactly the flavor notes that are coming across. And that might change day to day. So to be able to have that kind of control on the execution, on the extraction process, it requires some focus. I think that's been a significant change in our industry, to be able to say, we're gonna dial in this coffee to this point where we feel great about what we're saying is what you're going to experience with it too. That wasn't always the case in the past. You really had, like, the grinder should always be at this setting, and we should always just extract an espresso to this time frame using this much coffee. We've gone so much further into water quality and specific grind sizes, and being able to make just slight adjustments in those scenarios to the coffee that's performing that day, to the resting process of the coffee. All of that has been identified and part of the equation now, so that if we're looking for something that says this coffee is super sweet with a great chocolatey body base and some fruit notes, we better be able to deliver on that, especially when we're asking customers to pay a pretty large premium to achieve that result too. I think we've definitely taken, we've pushed some boundaries from a packaging, processing. Typically, you crafted your packaging so that it could certainly sit on the shelves in your retail store and give informative information about the coffee, about processing methods, elevation of where it was grown, how to brew, a little bit about the company, taking all of that and just putting it onto a bag that could sit up well on a shelf, that could be used in multiple environments, whether it's in your store, whether it's your grocery store, kind of making all of that work and then pushing it from a design perspective too. In our cafes and in our coffee bars, you don't see a lot of branding. What our branding is, it exists in our coffee bags, and it exists in the areas of where we put our coffee. And so you want that to be as equal to the experience or the brand experience that you're trying to promote. And then there you can take it and apply that coffee or apply that bag into multiple environments, whether it is on your shelf or like here, for example, where it's right there by the POS station. Now it can sit there on its own. It can stand for itself and be the brand presence that you look for without having to kind of, position it in a certain way too.